I'm almost done with row number 14, and this is how my project looks like. So let's see how to close 14 and how to start row 15, which is finally the last row for the design. So 14, my last stitch is a yellow, and going back to start row number 15, I'm going to start with yellow. So I'm not going to switch colors. And row 15 will be 5 yellow, 1 brown, 4 yellow. Then repeat all over again, 5 yellow and so on. And what we're going to have throughout the row is going to be a brown, 9 yellow, 1 brown, 9 yellow, 1 brown, 9 yellow, all around. This is how my pattern is going to look like. Okay, and this is going to happen, by repeating those 10 stitches over here. So let's go ahead and start. So we're going to close row number 14. Okay, with a yellow. And I'm not switching because 15 starts with yellow as well. Okay, so put your stitch marker. And let's start row number 15 with 5 yellow. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Switch colors. 1 brown, which is the center over here, so this zigzag is closing up as well. Switch right away and work 4 yellow. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm not switching because I know when I do the repetitions all over from the beginning, I'm starting with a yellow again. So 5 yellow plus 1 brown, 6, plus 4 yellow, 10. Let's do the repetitions all over again with 5 yellow, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Switch. 1 brown, switch right away, and finish the repetitions with 4 yellow. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then the repetitions all over again with 5 yellow and so on. And this is how our bag looks like at this point. So we have completed, this is the last row, this is the end of the brown zigzag. And from here on, after we finish row 15 for the design, we're going to continue with solid color. So once I reach the end, I'm going to turn my video back on. I'm almost done with row number 15. I'm going to take out the stitch marker and I'm going to work the last yellow stitch for this row. Okay, now I'm going to attach my stitch marker again. And here we go, we're done. We're done creating the design, so I think we should celebrate with some fireworks after working all these rows step by step. Okay, we do want the inside of our bag to look as equally nice as the outside. Look how nice, what a nice results we have over here. Okay, what a beautiful design, and how easy it is for a beginner to start. For a beginner to tapestry crochet, this is a great design. It's pretty simple. Okay, with only 2 colors. Of course, if you'd like, you could work more colors in between, but that would take it a little more, it would make it a little more difficult. Okay, So this is how our bag looks like at this point. Now, from here on, I'm only going to continue with the yellow color. And I am always going to be crocheting the brown one on the inside. Do not cut the yarn, because if you do, the bag will automatically shrink, because it's going to be, the stitches are going to be thinner. So please do not cut the brown. Keep working the brown on your rows. Okay, keep crocheting it in the rows. So I'm going to work yellow from here on, and always put the stitch marker in your last stitch so you know where the end of your project is. And once I finish crocheting my rows with the yellow color, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how many rows I have worked off camera, what to do to continue after that, and then we're going to see first how to make it into a shoulder bag, and then I'm going to take everything off and we're going to see the steps that we're going to need to make it into a backpack. And I'm going to keep it as a backpack because I prefer them better, because you can fit more things, and it's easier when you wear it on your bag. Okay, so keep working off camera, and once I finish, I'm going to turn my video back on. I have completed crocheting so far, and look what a nice results we have at this point. So with the solid yellow, you know, without changing any colors, the solid yellow, I have crocheted a total of 13 rows, okay? 13 rows in total with yellow, and the total height of my bag at this point is at 24 centimeters. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna crochet the last rows, and the way that we're gonna crochet the rows now are in order to make it in a shoulder bag. Once we finish making the whole process for the shoulder bag, I'm going to frog the whole thing up until this point, up until I have the 13 yellow again, okay? And then I'm going to show the process on how to make it into a backpack, and I'm going to leave my bag into a backpack because I like them better. So what we're going to do the last rows in order to make it a shoulder bag, we're going to work 2 rows of brown, 1 row of yellow, and then 1 row of brown. And then the last row is going to be with a crab stitch, which we are going to work it together. So let's see how to do it. And please don't forget that all this time we need to be crocheting the second color along with us, okay? So make sure that you carry the second color along. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to frog the last stitch, because I'm going to crochet it in a way to change the color as well. So I'm going to frog the last single crochet, and I'm going to redo it. So put your hook in the last stitch and change color. Okay, so the last stitch is a single crochet made with yellow, but at the same time we change the color. Okay, so now start crocheting with the brown and make sure that you carry the yellow along. Always work in the back loop. Okay, so now what we're going to do, finish the row with the brown, okay, up until the stitch marker. Work a second row up until the stitch marker, where once you finish the second row, make sure you change colors and you bring up the yellow the same exact way as I did here. Work 1 row with yellow, okay, and then again, before you finish the row, change colors to brown. And once I finish crocheting those 4 rows off camera, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to continue. I have completed crocheting my 4 rows. Now, if you want to avoid those where it looks like a step here, see how the beginning of the row is here and the end of the row is over here, and it seems as if it's going on the next row. This happens because we're working in the round and we're not working slip stitches in the end of the row. Now, because I didn't have time to go back and do the whole thing all over again, if you want to avoid having this over here, which really looks really bad, even though it's going to be on the inside of the bag, you know, on the side that's touching your body and it's not going to be visible, even then we do want to have a nice result. What I want you to do, okay, here, down here, what you're going to do in order to straighten up the rows and have a nice result, down here, what you're going to do is you're going to skip the next stitch and go into the stitch after that and work a slip stitch. Now this way, the rows straighten up a little bit, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to be crocheting your 120 stitches, or the whatever number of stitches you have, which is a multiple of 10. And in every end of the row, you are going to be working a slip stitch, and then you're going to be starting the next row. This is the only way we can avoid this happening. The changing of the colors is going to remain the same. Okay, you're going to be changing the colors in the last stitch of the row, and then you're going to be working your slip stitch. Okay, so for the last 4 rows, you're going to be working 120 stitches, slip stitch in the end of the row, and then chain 1 and start working the row from the beginning. And when we work in the round, you do want to, after the chain 1, you do want to start crocheting from the same stitch that you worked your slip stitch, okay, and count your 120 stitches, okay? So having said that, now we're gonna see the last row for our bag. So what I want you to do is put your hook in the next stitch right over here and work a slip stitch. And the last row is going to be a row of the crab stitch. So chain 1 and the crab stitch is single crochet worked in the opposite direction. So what I want you to do is put your hook in the first stitch right over here. Grab the yarn. Carefully take your hook out from the stitch, okay, and you have 2 loops in your hook which seem as they are overlapping each other. This is not wrong, this is how your loops are supposed to be in the hook when you're working the crab stitch. So grab the yarn and pull through both loops. Now go into the next stitch, grab the yarn, pull carefully through the stitch. We have 2 loops and close them together. Okay, so next stitch, put your hook in the stitch, grab the yarn, pull carefully through the stitch. We have the 2 loops which we are going to close together. Next stitch, grab the yarn, pull carefully through the stitch. We have the 2 loops which we are going to close together. Now the reason that I'm saying pull the stitch carefully through, pull the yarn carefully through the stitch is because if you're going fast, this can happen. When you pull the yarn, it can go through the stitch and through the loop that you have on your hook, and we do not want that to happen because this is wrong, okay? So this is why you want to crochet carefully. And what I forgot to mention is that because we don't need the yellow anymore because we're working the crab stitch, you can cut it and burn it on the inside to secure it, okay? So I'm going to keep working the crab stitch all around. Once I reach the end, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to continue. I have completed working the crab stitch all around, and look what a beautiful result it gives on our bag. Now, after crocheting in the last stitch, put your hook in the first stitch of the row, grab the yarn and work a slip stitch. Okay, let me do that again. Okay, and work a slip stitch, chain 1, cut the yarn fast enough and weave in the end on the inside and then burn the end and stick it on here. I'm not going to do it on video because I'm going to frog the whole thing up to down here, so we're going to see the process of how to make it into a backpack in a sec. But what we're going to do before we see the steps in order to make it into a backpack, we're going to see how to crochet around the zipper and how to attach the straps on the bag, and then we're going to turn it into a backpack. Now that we have completed crocheting our bag, we are going to crochet on our leather zipper. Okay, and this is what we have. I have crocheted already the one side of camera. Now what we're gonna do is on the holes over here, we're gonna crochet 2 single crochet in every hole up until the end. And we do both sides separately. First, we do the one side, then you turn and you crochet the other side. Okay, so let's start. Let me zoom in a little bit. So starting from the first hole, oh, and again I'm going to need my 3.5 millimeter because it's the only one that fits through the holes over here. Okay, so grab your yarn and pull it through the hole. Okay, take the yarn and pull it through the loop, which is the same as working a chain. And in the same stitch, work 1 single crochet. Now, because we have already worked the chain to begin with, we cannot fit another single crochet on here. It's the same thing as working 2 stitches. Now, in the next hole, put your hook and again work 2 single crochet in the same hole. So 1 same hole, two. Next one, one, and 2. Next hole, 2 single crochet, 1, and 2. So keep working 2 single crochet up until the last hole, where we're going to work again 2 single crochet. Once I finish, I'm going to turn my video back on. I have completed working 2 single crochet in every hole. Now chain 1, cut the yarn and fasten off. Okay, and what you're going to do now is you're going to weave in the end on the back loops of your single crochet. And once you do it, you're going to pull it a little bit so the point here from the chain that we just worked, it goes away. Okay, so once you just pull it a little bit, see how it straightens up. Okay, so since we have completed the zipper, now we're going to see how to attach everything on our bag. Now that we have completed crocheting everything, okay, we have completed our bag, we have completed crocheting around the zipper. Okay, now what we're gonna do in order to complete it, in this point you can line it if you want, but in my bag I'm not gonna line it because it's thick enough, because we were crocheting a second yarn as we were going through our bag. Okay, so it's pretty steady, but if you want to, we can go ahead and line the bag at this point. Now, because I'm not going to line my bag, I am going to sew on the inside this pocket. It's a PVC pocket and it has holes in it, sorry. Okay, and those holes I am going to sew on my bag. Okay, I'm going to sew it on the last row of yellow that I have worked over here. Okay, and what I'm going to do when I sew it is I'm going to go from the inside to the outside, from the outside to the inside, out, out, in. Okay, and I want to sew every single hole on the bag. Okay, and this will fit my cell phone, or you can fit your keys on here, whatever you want. Okay, so once you do that, the next step is to sew the zipper on our bag. Now the zipper, what we are going to do is, see how we have crocheted the single crochet on here. I am going to be sewing the back loops of the single crochet. I'm going to sew them on the bag, and well, all these steps I'm going to work off camera, but you want to line carefully your zipper on your bag. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew the back loops of the single crochet on the last row of single crochet with brown that I worked here. Do not sew it on your crab stitch, okay? I'm going to sew on the last row of single crochet that I have here. Okay, so sew the one side on your bag. Okay, once you finish the one side, then go ahead and sew the other side in the same exact way. You're going to be sewing the back loops of the single crochet. You're going to be sewing them on the last row of single crochet with brown color on here. Okay, now once you have sewn your zipper on your bag, the last step is to attach the handles. Now, when you attach the handles, again, you want to line them correctly. You want to have the same distance on the left and on the right, but in between, and this is a rule when you attach bag handles in order for the bag to be practical, what you want to do is you want to have a distance of 16 centimeters between your two links over here. Okay, the distance from here to here, from the one link to the other, you want it to be 16 centimeters. If you have a bigger gap, then the bag will be falling off your shoulder. Okay, so once you have sewn, and you want to sew the links as much of it on the top as you can. Okay, on the top of the bag, like on the yellow row over here. And what I do when I sew the links, when I sew the handles on the bag, what I do is I go through a total of 3 single crochet. First, I sew on the first single crochet on the center, okay, and I sew twice, 1, 2. I take the yarn around, then 1 on the right, 1, and then I go 1 to the left. And this way, I have a nice result when I sew the link on the bag as well. Okay, so we want the whole bag to look nice on every step that we do. Okay, so once you sew both sides of the strap, then you're going to turn on the other side. Okay, and you're going to work the same steps on the other side as well. Okay, make sure the distance between the two links is 16 centimeters and the distance on the one side and on the other is equal. Also, you want to have the same exact distance on the other side as well. Okay, so once I finish the whole bag, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how it looks completed, and then I'm going to take everything apart. I'm going to frog up until the last brown row, and we're going to see how to turn it into a backpack. I have completed attaching everything on my tote bag, and look what a beautiful results we have. I sewed my bag handles right up here in the same exact way as I explained before I turned my video off. Okay, and I sewed my zipper in the way that I explained. I sewed the back loops in the row right beneath the crab stitch. Okay, I tried to sew on the back loops of the crab stitch over here, but I really didn't like the results. The zipper opened up the bag on the top, and I really didn't like how it looked. So I went ahead and I sewed the bag on the row that I showed before I turned the video off, on the row beneath the crab stitch. And this is how it looks like. Okay, now let's take a look on the inside. I did not line my bag because as we were crocheting along a second rope, the bag's pretty thick and strong, so I'm not going to line it. But if you prefer, you can go ahead and line your own bag if it makes you feel more safe, okay, that you protect your bag better. You can go ahead and line if you like. Now what we're going to do is I am going to remove the bag handles. I'm going to remove this zipper. Okay, I'm going to frog the last 5 rows, the crab stitch, the brown row, the yellow, and the 2 brown over here, and we are going to turn it into a backpack now. So let's see how we're going to do that.